Hi everyone, welcome to the Node.js Technical Steering Committee meeting of the 26th of July 2023. I am joined here by my fellow Node.js TSC member, and we have a little bit of a light agenda today, but of course we'll keep going. If you can please stay on, I have a couple of private thing to talk about, so please stay on after the finish of the call. And let me do the usual tweet. ESC meeting. Okay, here we go. The tweet is out, and we are in. Cool. So the first, before we start, are there any announcements? There doesn't seem to be any announcements today, which is good. Yes, then it's time for the CPC and board meeting updates. So in the I have a board update. So I probably mentioned a few times already. The CPC has asked an amendment to the bylaws of the foundation so that the representation of on the board by the community is not capped, but it can grow as the board grows, essentially, or as the number of projects grows. And there was a proposal on the CPC repo and so on and so forth. And we discussed this at the last board meeting, and there is more or less an agreement on the board members that we will follow a percentage model. So the maximum amount of board members from the community are 80% will be 80% of the number of corporate members overall. These ensure a few additional. These essentially doesn't change much. We will still have the 3 seats. Currently we have 2, but only because one is vacant because of bylaws problems. This is a long story that if you are interested, we can cover CPC history, OpenJS Foundation history, and in theory, and this is a long story anyway. So, and happy to cover it, but not usually very useful. So that's it. Then this is probably the biggest board update. Okay, and something that is important for us to discuss now is also what are our expectations in terms of events or our requirements or asks, okay, in terms of events for the next year, because things are planned more or less a year in advance or so. So if we are okay, we keep going with the attach yourself to an OpenJS, to an open source summit or something like that from the Linux Foundation. It's okay if we want to steer towards having our own event or having something like that, also possible. Well, possible, it needs to be seen, but at least it's something that we might want to consider and think about, because this year has been different from previous year. The last few years have been all a roller coaster related to events. So if it's probably better to have an ask and see what we need, okay, and decide what we want and what we need, okay, versus what is having somebody else make the decision for us. So this is kind of important. And yeah, that's it.
So Matteo, on that front, are you going to open an issue or something to get the discussion going?
I don't know, like this is a question of, the question is, I just wanted to ask the group, essentially. This is more for the group to like. I am happy to ask. Like the question is more for us if you know, if we have if we want to do something, or we might decide not to. But you know, before that is for us to decide. I can open an issue on the Node.js technical steering committee meeting and verify if there was a rebrand of the collaborator summit in Node.js collaborator summit. So do we want the Node.js collaborator summit to be attached to the open source summits, or do we want, again, it's a Node.js collaborator summit. So if it's the Node.js collaborator summit, it's tied to you know, it's now, it can even be to some extent a paid event where we pay for it between ourselves and the foundation money. Again, I'm opening up the discussion, but can be like at C39 or what would you meeting? Okay, I don't know, just putting it out loud. Okay, so it's I'll take an action, open an issue, and
that sounds good.
Yeah, well, it's more of what are considered. Then the question comes on what is the budget, you know. But before asking for money, we need to decide exactly what we want. Okay, so
yeah, I mean, I'll chime in a little bit on the issue. I've definitely heard a few people say that, you know, they didn't see enough nodes focus, or like, you know, when they applied to Open Source Summit Europe, they didn't even see the word node mentioned.
Yeah,
I think it's worth a discussion of what we think makes sense. Like that, like you said, it might be perfectly fine, but it's worth having the discussion. And
it's worth having the discussion. Okay, we might decide to attach the collaborator summit to a conference in Europe. Okay, and then just fund collaborate with either a conference run by the foundation plus or something. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just, the question is, can be very open. Okay, so Rui.
Yeah, just to mention here, but I found it worked super well last year in Europe. And I believe like we were more attached to the calendar rather than the conference itself, right? Like the collaborator summit was in Dublin. It was kind of just like syncing with NodeConf that was happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that was a very good model, right? Like we had more flexibility, I found.
This is all up to, like, if somebody does not, if we don't manifest, create voice, make our voice heard, nobody things will not happen. So again, it's yeah, I like it very much last year in Europe, so it worked pretty well for me. But yeah, anyway, this is the gist. Okay. Okay, so this is the issue. I will create an issue, okay, to discuss more or less plan for 2024, essentially, for us to decide what, you know, we should be the ones making those decisions, or at least steering those decisions one way or another, I think. So not making the decision, but at least steering the decision to stuff that's possible instead of receiving those. So cool. Okay, so this is it. On the CPC front, there were some words. There's a lot of work happening on the code of conduct and automating the code of conduct and updates and those kind of stuff. I'm not going to talk too much about them, but if you're interested, please check them out. I don't know if there is anything else of people that joined the CPC that you want to mention, but I think this is the summary of it. Then
I don't remember anything else that stood out from the last meeting.
Yeah. Okay. So the next one is issue 1416 of the Node.js TSC repository. Freeze releases and website changes pending cache fixes, which I think we are. I don't know if there was any progress whatsoever. Michael, you put it on the TSC agenda yourself?
Yeah, I think we did discuss it last week. There were no concerns in the issue, like no concerns from the people who were in the meeting. We did send out an email, or Rich sent out an email saying that he was going to open an issue in the CPC repo unless there were any concerns raised before Friday, which I don't think there were. So there is an issue. I'm trying to see if I can find that issue in the CPC, because I think one was opened. Certainly there's some discussion has been started, and members of the foundation are working. I think they set up a meeting for next week with some of the people from the build team to discuss what might be possible. I just can't find the issue right now. Maybe the discussion started to take place in Slack and the issue didn't get opened.
No worries. It's I think the discussion is happening. So
yeah,
happening in Slack. Possibly an issue. Okay. I don't think there is much else to mention on this one.
Yeah, I think the website is in the same state that it was before, sometimes working, sometimes not. And
well, we have a very fragile architecture, I would say.
Yep.
Nobody has never spent much time in improving that architecture. We have all worked on best things, and we are a little bit stuck on the DevOps maintenance work needed to get it updated. Essentially, this is the TLDR for people that tuned in on the issue right now. So, okay. Next one up is issue 806 on the web team. Transform the website team into a web team. The website team into a web team.
Yeah, I think we discussed that last time when Claudio was here. And again, I don't think anybody had any concerns expressed.
I think we can approve it and remove the.
Yeah, I think I'd remove it from the agenda in that it's been discussed, and I don't know that there's any specific thing to be asked about next time.
Yeah, okay. So if no.
Yeah. Can I ask something? So the main reason for switching from website team to web team is to pass the infrastructure responsibilities to the new team. Is that correctly understood?
I don't think that was the main
No.
reason. I think the main reason was to break up the different domains. Like there's 4 of them listed there. The website, UX, web standards, and then web infra, even like this was proposed before the infrastructure issues. So I don't know that it was like, hey, take it over completely. Although I think that might actually make sense. Like if there's somebody separate from the build team looking at
this is only for the website, it won't cover Cloudflare and the downloads. Okay,
no,
so
but it may cover Vercel, for example.
It may cover Vercel, yes.
So yeah, it's possible, but at the moment, nothing has been handed over in terms of infrastructure.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just putting it into SGTM approved in the TSC meeting. Okay, I am closing this and reopen. It needs to be done, but we can approved. Yes. Okay. Perfect. Now it's time for the usual strategic initiatives update. So I see somebody writing stuff about the startup snapshot. So, if wants to speak, that would be great.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, Joey.
Hi. So on Startup Snapshot, the support for single executable application has already landed. And there are still a few fixes to reproducibility of snapshots in place. And I've been also starting work on the custom compression support. It was using Zlib, but it was too slow. So the plan is to maybe experimenting with LZ4, which can be used to compress the snapshot as well as code cache, and maybe the ICU data, depending on whether that can be figured out, because we do not emd. The tool used to emd ICU data is not maintained by us, it's maintained in the upstream. So that's it for status measure.
Amazing. Perfect. Yagith, you did some work on performance?
Yes, so there were two major PRs landed last week. One of them was read file sync, which added a fast path for UTF-8 for the file system sync operation, and the other one was path to file URL. And both of them landed and was included in the last release.
Amazing. Perfect. Okay. And yes, then cool. There is no updates on the Next.js, right, Michael?
Yeah, on the next 10, nothing to report
Next
this week.
10, yeah. And then who else wants to go? That would be great. Perfect. There is on V8 updates, there is no some minor updates planned in V20. But there is a work in progress update in main with things. And Darshan, want to say anything?
Yeah, so in addition to what Joey said about startup snapshots in SEAs, we also landed V8 code cache support. So wow. Yeah, that's it.
Amazing. Okay. I think that's all. I just want to, if you can stick on. Oh, do you want to discuss .env publicly?
I think there were a few requests that we wait until next week by Jeffrey.
Okay, let's do that. Okay. Let's wait for that. Perfect. Great. And then let's talk about it next week, and then I'll just say bye everybody that's been watching this, and we do a little bit of private segment. We have a few things to talk about. So